You know, delivering excellence is more than just 18 wheels moving products around the country. Trucking is complex, and its people are passionate. Accommodating a diverse driving workforce, ever-changing regulations, supply chain demands, and new technologies all present their own challenges, but in trucking, the creative and the innovative succeed. Let's understand the people that drive and support the trucking industry, and welcome to Garner Trucking's Beyond the Cab.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Cab. Today it is my great honor to talk about one of my favorite topics of all time. I am a giant music fan. I have a tremendous collection. I'm an audiophile, and I have probably 250 stories that no one cares to hear that I could tell regarding music and all the things that I just love about it. Today, we're having the opportunity to talk to two of our drivers. It's a driver-certified Garner Band. And with me today is Brian Wildman and Andy Narine, the two creators, the inventors of this project, to talk to us today about an amazing project this has turned into. I think it's so cool. So both Brian and Andy, welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks for having us, Tim.
Great to be here.
So, you know, I have to. I'm hitting you with one music story, and then it's going to be all yours. This morning on my way in, I had a song come on the radio. At the time, I probably would have been about 9 or 10 years old. David Bowie's "Modern Love" came on my stereo on the way into work, and immediately it took me back to that 9, 10 years of age. I had requested for Christmas a couple of 45s, you know, for those of you that are old enough to know what a 45 is. It's a single version of that song. And I had a grandmother. I was fortunate enough to have a grandmother that lived right across the street. And every year she was the grandmother that would buy you pajamas. She'd buy you the socks that you need, the underwear that you need. That's what you got for Christmas. Right. Except this one year. She had decided to go out and buy me 2 45s. One of those 2 45s was that David Bowie Modern Love single. And that just kind of resonates in me now today at 51 years of age, that impact of music and what it does, how it transports you, how it takes you to somewhere else or reminds you of something else, provides your history, your memory, and probably another 1,000 different feelings. That's what I love about music. So, Andy, I want to start with you. What do you love about music? Why, when it comes to music, what's your background? What do you love about it? Share with us.
Well, Tim, let me start by saying it's really hard. It's really hard to find someone who don't like music. And I grew up in the Caribbean in a very diverse culture where there's lots of different types of music and foods and people. And I'm open-minded to diversity. And when I migrated to the U.S. with my mom, I noticed the same thing here. There's a lot of diversity with music. And then when I started working for this company, I noticed that a lot of people have family and friends who are into trucking, you know, as a truck driver or associated with the trucking industry somehow. So they have ideas about, how we work hard and what we do. Truck drivers, we responsible for the groceries that, they get in the grocery stores, the pharmacies and stuff like that. And with that said, there's some people who totally don't. And they see the truck as huge on the road and intimidating at times. So they don't have, appreciative. They're not appreciative that much about it. So I was thinking, how could I help? How could I break the stigma? And the only thing I can come up with is music. It's like a common ground. Everyone likes music. And everyone has a genre, of music. Like you were talking about yours, right? And then that's why I came up with the idea. And I met with Brian one day while fueling up in the shop, and I know he's on the DAB, the Drivers Association board, and I talked to him about it. And we both came together and we did the vision statement and then produced it to you. We got good response, and so from then we went forward to a survey, which we got good response from the employees, and we did the flyer. And as to date, we got like, let's say, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, 6-7 people active.
Yeah.
That's right.
I hopped on the first call just to kind of see what was crack-a-lackin'. I was driving, so I couldn't do the Zoom portion of things, but it was well attended and organized. Brian, from your perspective, what's your background with music, and what are the things you like? Where did it start for you, this passion for music?
Well, it really started very early, probably with Andy too, but and you as well, Tim. But my parents remember me dancing around the coffee table, to Soul of Spain, which is all those great 1950s, 33 and a third. You were talking about 45s, the LPs back in the day. And they had a Magnavox big one, console with a big 18-inch woofer in it. And I was like I was like the dog, like Victor, RCA Victor. Sitting
listening
there.
With your head
tilted.
listening
to that. So it kind of got me into the bass area there. But so music came, it grabs you, doesn't it, Andy? It just grabs you. And like that Bowie thing this morning, the recording there just takes you back to another place and a good vibe. And one thing that Andy had mentioned to me when we were first talking about this was, and I credit Andy with this, was trying to change maybe the public perception of driving, of truck driving specifically, and through music. It is a universal language, and there's so many elements of this. Was trying to get Andy alluded to it, but to kind of get a different, get a public perception, a different public perception of drivers, kind of another dimension of drivers, and to kind of help that along. We've got to. You could tell us better, Tim, how diverse this driving population is now in the United States versus what it used to be.
Searching to be more diverse.
Correct.
I think as an industry, we really have embraced the understanding that it takes all of us, working together to be successful. And what we've been able to accomplish as an industry is a pretty amazing thing. Really, at the end of the day, it affects every single person.
It does.
Right?
It does.
At the end of the day, a few years back, everybody found out how important we are because we could deliver toilet paper. We're still just as important today.
That's right.
We still provide those goods and services that we all need. So why shouldn't the consumer community be reflective? That diversity within the consumer community be as reflective in our driving community,
right?
To that end. And I think kudos to the two of you for taking a look, and Andy, if we need to credit you for that, I want to credit you for that diversity piece of things, that image of the trucking industry, right. Such an important detail that has got to be at the forefront of every driver's mind as they're out on the road each and every day. We know how the attitude of the general motor public is around big trucks. We're in the way. We're bothering them. Those types of things. For not everyone, but for there's a majority, I would say. And so to have something that's been driver created, driver driven, that says we're just the same. We laugh, love, play together, right?
Right.
Yes.
And we're normal in every other way. So just remember that when you're going down the road.
That's right.
Right? Just remember that.
That's right.
Andy, do you have a type of music you most enjoy either listening to or playing? Is there, kind of a favorite genre for you?
Yeah, I like R&B, pop music, especially when it's a remix.
Okay.
In general, I like upbeat music.
Sure.
It doesn't matter if it's Indian.
Favorite band or anything, or?
I wouldn't say so. I like all different kinds of music.
Sure. Most people who love music do.
Yeah,
Right?
It's hard to choose.
Yeah. And sometimes it depends on the day and the mood I'm in,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Brian, what about you?
I'm very, very similar. I like all kinds of music. I had my first quote unquote professional gig at age 15.
No kidding.
Back, this dates me, but American Revolution Bicentennial Commission, ARBA, I think it was called, to celebrate the bicentennial. And I was part of a Don Brockett production. Don was Chef Tell on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Okay, yeah.
He was out of the Pittsburgh area and pretty well known back in that area and brought a lot of people along. So he had a production that he put together, and I was my best friend from high school who had transferred from Huntsville. Great, plays professionally now. His wife does stage direction for Broadway, but we did that together, and it was a nice start to a journey that took in a lot of different things. I also liked. I was very motivated by Up With People. You know, but when Andy was talking about the upbeat part of that, I remember that all the cultural changes that were going on in the '60s.
Yeah.
Kind of, again, dating myself, but remembering kind of as like a little kid looking at that and going to Constitution Hall and seeing Up With People and seeing kind of a more positive spin on culture and what can be, and the true diversity and dynamic of people pressing forward and getting it done. And there were three brothers, the Caldwell brothers, that were the impetus and creative songwriting team to that group. And so it was a band within a band. And Andy and I talked about the positives of having a band, kind of a band within a band, a genesis, so to speak.
Okay.
And to really get this thing going.
Well, I think that, I've kind of said it a couple of times, but there's a lot of, almost every program that Garner's put together. It is someone from management that's responsible for its execution, success, those types of things. When this idea came forward, I really wanted to think about that a minute, because I'm, not to the grand stage that Brian describes, but I'm a performing musician still. I enjoy going out and playing at a club or an event or those types of things. But I wanted to be very careful to not kind of inject that the management is managing the band and, having too heavy a say. More, I wanted the company side of things to be the support and let the driver and drivers be kind of the ball in motion, so to speak. And go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, we appreciate that this company gave us the opportunity to do that and support us in that.
Exactly.
And I was even thinking that we can extend this to all staff and members.
Yeah,
of the
absolutely.
company, because the staff, we will have a good singer or musician. And for the trucking industry overall, eventually, if another company choose to follow suit and think the band is, would do something like this to the company, promote, break the stigma a little bit, that's my objective. So
I will tell you this. So we have been a part of the Best Fleets program for the last 7 years. But every year we try to make the company a little better, and a little better in lots of different ways. So it's not all focused on one area of attention. It's these smaller things. I think the fundamentals and the foundation of the organization are pretty strong. And what you need to do is improve company culture and providing those programs and systems that are going to help support your employees. And I think what's so special about this one, and as it relates to Best Fleets, you go through it's a long process to be a part of the program. It starts with a 50 some odd page questionnaire that has to be filled out, and part of the 50, in fairness to Best Fleets, is the responses that you have to give to those questions. And then there's an interview process for our staff and for our management. And then the final piece to that is driver surveys. And one of the things that came out this year is, this Garner Band. And to be able to kind of, I feel, elevate things a little bit, that this is a driver-driven program, that they're making the selections on what type of music they're going to do. They're organizing the meetings and the practices and the conversation with that, and watching what you two have been able to do over the last 2 or 3 months is really just an amazing thing. And I'm so excited for this group to be able to be pulling this off, that it's something that is happening, that you're moving forward, and knowing what the end game is that we can get on stage and perform for either our friends and family, or out at events within the community. I think is a pretty righteous goal, and we fully support that. So what really are you hoping to achieve short and long term, though, with this band? What's the end game?
Well, what I noticed, Tim, while talking to coworkers in regards to the band, and most people, including myself, would have played an instrument back in high school, college, and didn't ever get a chance to continue because of everyday life and working and stuff. And with this opportunity with a band, they can actually fit it in while working for the trucking company. And that's what I noticed. And everyone's trying to join because they can pick up a little slack and continue their music, playing the instruments. Brian is a music coach. He can help with that. And people can continue aspiring and do like an extra curriculum while they're working with the company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an achievement right there by itself for me.
Agree.
Just to see the future of the band head that way.
You bring up an interesting point, and so much of my life I relate back to music. There's a lyric by John Lennon that says, "Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans." And I think, to your point, those forgotten dreams, or those skills that we had at a younger age that we didn't get to embrace in adulthood because life is what happens.
Right.
So it's a great outlet for that. Do you feel this is more about, I know we discussed that representation of what the trucking industry means to the community. Do you see this as a sense or a source for unity between drivers and staff and management and all parts in between? Do you see this as a therapy for mental health, well-being, those types of things, which is an important topic all on its own?
All of those things,
I think all of those, I agree. All of those things came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
The last Zoom meeting we had, the first actual band meeting we had, Ashton, who is a member of the band, he did say it's like a dream come true. And I know what he meant. He meant that he can work and pursue his music.
Yeah, it was a very sincere statement. I heard him say that.
He says sometimes things come from places that you would never expect them to come from. So
I think that's what makes this such a beautiful thing. I can't say it enough. The fact that this is a driver-driven program just makes me happy.
I honestly think
happy.
it's everyone in the company, all staff members. This is how I want it to be in the future, because we have talents within all departments.
Exactly right.
It's just not drivers only. We have people in the office, people in the shop, their families too. Might be future drivers, future workers in the office, and that's how I see it.
Yep, I would agree with that.
That's handed down to the next generation of drivers and staff members.
So tell me this. How has this process been? I mean, it's the two of you that have been driving the bus here. How's the process been so far?
Well, it's been good, Tim. We made progress, and with the help of this company and accepting our ideas, we made a lot of progress. As to date, we have 7 members, and we're looking for more. And
And I think there'll be people that will come in after. They'll see that this is a thing.
I agree with that too. I think the key to this is going to be not so much as much drum banging as we can do, no pun intended. Right. But the proof is in the pudding, right. And once people start to see what's actually happening here, and even with the initial call, you could hear this kind of spark of excitement with it. It's very cool, very cool. Any specific instruments at this time that you feel like you're lacking or that you need? It's a good platform to be able to call out those folks and say, hey,
maybe a steel drum.
Yeah,
some steel drums.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
Jimmy Buffett. If you listen to Jimmy Buffett, he had a lot of steel pan in the background with the Caribbean music style.
Yep.
It'd be nice to have that. Absolutely.
There's a band here in Finley at the high school called Pantasia.
Okay.
And that's the world they're living in. That's all. Is it Caribbean or Caribbean?
Well, both. It all depends how you say it.
But guitarists, calling all guitarists.
Okay.
We certainly.
That's odd too, because they're the the low hanging fruit usually.
I know. It's like, come on, guitarists.
They can't all be cool like drummers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Or bass players.
Or bass players, right.
I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, and I think that's the most southern island in the Caribbean.
Okay.
And
it's Caribbean, Brian.
The steel pan was created in Trinidad. They started with the old drums, and then eventually they started fine-tuning it, and it became an instrument, a national instrument.
Such a great sound, too.
Yeah, we had one in our high school, and we can actually play on it anytime. And
Okay.
if you wanted one, they would grant you one, and they will replace it, because they thought everyone should learn to play it, because it was created in Trinidad.
Sure. That's pretty cool. So, if you had to convince someone that needed convincing, what would you say? And this is open up to both of you. What would you say to convince someone to join the group?
I would say just go for it. We have each other's back. The members of the band, there is already a cohesion, you can tell, and we have each other's back as drivers, as a company, and we know that going forward we're gonna put them in. We're gonna have your back, whether it be the rhythm section driving the solo out there, or the singer. It takes all of us. But I would say just give it a try. If it's not your thing, that's fine. We have a lot of people, like Andy said, that love music, and music is a healer too.
I agree.
It allows you to get into a space and a place that sometimes you just can't get through conversation. I mean, you have a musical conversation in that regard.
Right.
So that's a huge element to this too. We're not islands. I remember the Paul Simon tune, "I Am a Rock," right? I am an
Right.
island. Sometimes it really feels like it. Paul Simon was a truck driver because he understood what it is to be out here on this rock.
That's exactly right.
But no, we have each other's back, and give it a try. We will work with you. We will find your pitch, your comfort zone. We will work within that comfort zone to make you shine and help you shine. So,
nice.
Yeah.
It certainly lets the guard down a little bit.
Yeah, and so far, all the members of the band so far that I talked to, they were all like, "I'm not perfect. I can't sing too well. Or I can't play the instruments too well. It's been a long time." That's what this band is all about.
Yeah.
Helping you out to excel.
I think that's a natural result of playing in a group situation, because you're going to have a musician that's better than you are. You're going to have a musician that may not be quite as good as what you are. And that push and pull, that's what makes, I think, a band successful. I started playing in bands probably about the same time as you, Brian, 15, 16 years of age. And had some limited success, nothing that to write home about. But Played some gigs and did some things and got in some clubs when I was 18. That was a big deal, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, the one thing that I noted after about a break, 4 or 5 year break, in my mid to late 20s, I joined a band with a group of friends that had been in other bands. We were in a band together years ago when I was a teenager, and time had gone on. And the one thing that I noted immediately within the first 6 months of being together, one, how much better we all had gotten over time, and how much better my playing had become, not because I was some incredible drummer, but because I was being pushed by the people that were writing songs to be more creative, to keep up with that creativity. So to your point, Andy, I think you're spot on with that. It shouldn't be a matter of fear that I don't play very well or I'm a little pitchy or whatever that. Who cares, right?
Yeah, and when I turned to them and I told them, I said, hey, you're the band. You are the band. Because they were worried that they weren't in a band for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it's all about. And I did say to them on that Zoom meeting, I said, well, you are the band. You're part of the band. You're going to make the band. And then you're going to have more people in the company join the band. And the band will excel. And the band will survive.
I agree. So any specific kind of guidelines, requirements, genres you're going to play, things you're going to stay away from, or is it anything can happen?
Kind of upbeat, right, Andy?
Upbeat, and what's the band members, what they would do well in.
Okay.
Each individual.
So off of the skill set, based on the skill set of the individuals.
Yes.
Right. And there's people that, you think about a place, a location, somewhere that you're from, and maybe the song was written about the experience of that place. And so we want to be true to that. And I agree with Andy. I think some of the best things are to take a song and rework it, rearrange it.
I love that. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Remix it, give it a different breathe.
And I'm glad you guys
different
mentioned
direction.
that, because we might have people who can write a song.
That's true.
They
Yeah,
might
you-
not want to join the band, but within the company, they might be a good writer.
Right.
So we taking that too.
Yeah, well, and create something brand new. I think to your point, I literally had this conversation this weekend. My life swirls around music. I think it's we were having a conversation because I had turned on the television. There was a Journey song that was playing on a commercial, but the way that the Journey song was done, it was a bit more stifled from the original. It had this a smidge of a slower pace, or more maybe exciting pace to it, is what I should say. And they had, obviously the music didn't quite match what the lyrics were, but you definitely knew what song it was. And I said to my wife, I said, what's interesting is how many songs now you hear in commercials, in movies, television, where they'll take some, 70s or 80s classic song and strip it down to the point where you can't identify it. The lyrics are so slow and almost creepy, and it's all done for effect, right? But that effect is working, and it's done with music that's 20, 30, 40, 50 years old in some cases. It goes to the staying power of music and songwriting and what you can do with it. And I think that's I think that's a great idea, to be able to rethink and reimagine songs. I've always appreciated that. So we know we've been on some calls, or we've had a call. We know we've got 7 members. What's next?
So Andy and I were just talking about this. Us all being in different locations makes it very challenging. And I
Yes.
wanted to bring this up. I know, as far as getting together, the technology is great, but we are still not able to do real time, totally synced, separate practice space, but be totally synchronized to do a virtual practice session, right? So, but we do have great tools in the sense that we could share ideas. We can talk through and play our part out to share that with the other individuals. So there is the give and take. It kind of very, very similar to a songwriter. Two people are two or three getting in a room and going back and forth. And so that's what the technology gives us now.
Well, and I agree. You know, that's one of those things that a lot of bands, you know, you'll have one of the two songwriters is living on the West Coast, the other's living on the East Coast,
Right.
and somehow they can still manage to record something, you know, to the point of we're publishing, putting this out, we're producing this, and,
Right.
we live in great times to be able to have that connectivity and do the things we need to do without being right in front of each other.
Exactly. The other piece is getting together physically in the same space.
Yeah.
And that can be a challenge when we're all doing different loads in different locations. You know, we have this, and so if at the end of the day the customer comes first, it's customer driven. You know, and we are a trucking company that is very customer focused and very successful. But if we can find a way where we can, maybe every 3 weeks or so, get in the same room and get together and make music together.
I see you talking about that song, Tim, On My Own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tom McDonald and Help Me Out. What's it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember that kind of a power ballad.
They
Yeah,
both were
I
in
remember
different
that.
states, and they sang it together.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it's impressive what you can do now. But I know entire albums get written with, you know, band members on one coast and the rest of them on another coast. It's crazy,
Right.
you know, how detailed you can be and make things sound like you're all in the same room.
And that was way back. I mean, and look, we can do it now
With ease.
Yeah.
Yes.
modern equipment, and accessibility, and help with the company.
Well, I think probably the most important question I can ask today is if I'm a member of the Garner team and I want to get involved with the Garner Band, how do we do that?
Call Andy or myself.
Yeah,
Just
join
reach
the
out.
Zoom calls and let us know what your skills are and talents. If you can play an instrument or want to learn to play an instrument, or if you can sing, we put in the band together. We'll fit you in. That's what it's all about.
So then we can give out that information as far as contact information if you just call our, you know, operations folks or
Right.
HR, that we're all kind of versed and know this is happening and want to be supportive of it. And I'm looking forward to tremendous success with this program. I can already see the sparks of life that are happening with it, and it's extremely exciting. I get fired up about a lot, but I'm really fired up about this. I think it's tremendous. And just appreciate, Andy and Brian, your time today and the time that you've put in to get things to this point. And I'm so excited to enjoy the ride of where we're headed with things.
And thank you to ownership and management of Garner for allowing us this opportunity. Like
Thanks,
Andy
Andy.
said,
We
'cause-
appreciate you giving us the opportunity to do it.
It gives a great model and a great look for the trucking industry in total. And I
Is there a
have to
royalty
applaud you.
check involved in this? Oh, I guess based on that response.
And the
I guess
little
not.
girl said something about a check, I believe.
Well, I'm hoping the next time, you know, the public see a truck driver coming down the road, they'll view him in a different way. That's where it all started with me as
Yep.
a truck driver.
I think
Right.
I think appropriate to finish that way. Gentlemen, I want to thank both of you for your time. I appreciate the effort. And you've been listening to another edition of Beyond the Cab.